B'shut Rav, with permission of the rabbi, and it's not easy to say a few motivational and wise words after last week's powerful sermon by Justice Bernstein here in the Bima in our synagogue. And if you have not heard them, I highly recommend that you try the YouTube of our congregation. So here is a true story. I'll try my best after that sermon, but here is a true story that happened to me. I studied rabbinical school in Argentina, and I spent two periods of a year and a half in Israel. The second time I was in Israel, I had my Beit Din, my rabbinical tribunal, when I sat down in front of some rabbis, and they wanted to check if I was worthy to get my rabbinical ordination. So I am in front of these rabbis, and as you may imagine, I was a little bit nervous and excited at the same time. Sounds familiar? Yeah? So and after some questions, easy and not that easy, I got one I didn't know. I didn't know the answer. So the question was, what is the common topic in the fourth paragraph of the tefillin? So you may have seen and even wrapped tefillin, the leather boxes that we place on weekdays, not on Shabbat or holidays, that go on the arm and on the head. So the tefillin, among other goals, have the goal to unite thoughts on the head, actions on the arms, and the feeling, since the one that we place on the arm faces the heart. So altogether, thoughts, actions, and feelings. So inside the leather boxes are written on parchments 4 paragraphs from the Torah. So what is the common topic of these paragraphs? That was the question. And I said, the mitzvah, the commandment of tefillin. And it's like answering you like, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, we all know that, said the rabbi. But there's another common topic. Well, so I started talking about what are the different paragraphs, and I know one is in the book of Exodus, and yada, yada. No, said the rabbis. Go back to the question, what is the common topic? So I said, well, I don't know. You have an honest answer. I had no idea. So they tell me the answer is the common topic that it's in the 4 paragraphs of the tefillin is kids' education. Beshinantam levanecha, you shall teach your kids. Belimatem otam et beinechem, says the second paragraph, you should teach your children. Veigata levincha, you shall tell your children also, as we read in the Passover Agada. And ve'ayaki shalcha pincha machar le'emor. When your son tomorrow will ask you, when your children will ask you tomorrow, you will explain. So I never forgot that the tefillin teaches us about our kids' education. And let me tell you something else. I think this is the area where I believe Moses struggled. Moshe struggled with his own children education. Not with the loss of the tefillin, but with his kids' education. And I would like to add that Moses struggled because he meant so well for his kids. It is surprising, as we read today, that Gershom and Eliezer are virtually invisible in the Torah. We don't hear much about them. It's not just that they don't take over from Moses when Moses dies. We hear almost nothing about them. And we don't know even why we don't hear about Moses' children, Gershom and Eliezer. We don't know. We lack information. Nothing is told about them. And the parsha begins to tell us, Vaishma Yitro, and Yitro heard. What did he hear? What did he hear? Yitro, what did Yitro hear that made him to come and meet Moses in the middle of the desert? So he heard about the Exodus and the plagues and the splitting of the sea, of the Red Sea, and the battle with Amalek. And then he meets Moses and gives back to Moses his wife and Moses' sons. And the question is why Moses wasn't with his kids? He should have been with his kids, yes? Am I right? Yeah. Well, thank you for the support. So maybe Moses didn't want his kids to be with him because he was afraid to bring them to Egypt. He knew what was going on in Egypt. And I can understand that Moses didn't want his kids to be slaves. But because of not bringing his own kids to Egypt, they didn't see the liberation, the miracles of the plagues and the sea, and the manna and the sweet water turning into, or the bitter water turning into sweet water, and so and so and so. And maybe in his attempt to avoid his kids' suffering, he prevented them from growing. Maybe he was too good as a parent. We all know that slavery was horrible, but even more difficult to digest could be the image of Moses saying to his own kids, Gershom and Eliezer, all Israel can be slaves, but you, my kids, you cannot. If this idea, in fact, is true, Gershom and Eliezer grew up feeling weaker than anyone else in Israel because they were the only ones in the desert among the people of Israel who didn't walk through the sea to see freedom. And I have doubt that Moses had the best of the intentions. He wanted the best for his kids. But sometimes giving them the best doesn't mean giving them all they want. Failure is an essential tool to succeed in life. Learning to protect our kids is a difficult enterprise. It's not bad for them to fail here and there. It helps them to grow, and it helps us to grow. It is crucial in order to grow, to fail here and there. So how do we find the balance? How much should we keep our kids from knowing there are evil and bad things happening? How can we become great educators for our kids? How much can we protect them so they don't miss the good stuff that comes with failing and with growth? It's not easy to find the balance, but I think I can offer a small idea. And the idea brings back to the tefillin. If you use all that the tefillin teach us for kids' education, use your head, your thoughts, use your arms, your actions, and use your heart, your feelings. Maybe if you use all these resources, the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions, maybe we'll be able to find the right balance. Shabbat Shalom umevorach. We're going to